Hello everyone, this is Steve O'Reilly with SkinnyPost.com, and I am lucky to be joined today with Oakland Raiders cornerback Stanford Routt. Stanford, thanks for joining us today. It's nice to have you on the website.
Oh, appreciate you, man. I'm happy to do it.
Well, let's jump right in and talk about your foundation, Route to Success. It sounds like you've got a target that you're looking to improve kids' lives and help children. Talk to us a little bit about how you got started and what you hope to accomplish with your foundation.
Well, it all started, I guess you could say, back when I was in high school, because just about every athlete that I can tell you, known to man, has probably 2 or 3 buddies or homeboys and just people, that grew up with them that probably were even better than them and probably should, be up at the top level the same way they are. But, obviously, we lose people to, drugs, alcohol, teen pregnancy, jail, stuff like that, or sometimes, even death. And I think the main thing is that it's all about the negative things that get impacted around those, adolescent ages. Ages, 12 all the way to 17. And I think that the main point is the hours from 3 o'clock or, whenever kids get out of school, middle school, high school, until about 6 o'clock. Because most parents work a 9 to 5 job. They get off work somewhere around 5, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I think that those hours right there, I think that's the pinnacle of what is going to actually make the kids go right or left, or should I say negative or good. And finding something to do positive for those kids in that little increment, I think it's the world, because that right there will keep kids from, drugs, alcohol, sex at an early age, which leads to pregnancy, STDs, the whole nine, or just, hanging with a gang, getting thrown in jail at a young age and stuff like that. I know with me, I was always in sports, whether it was football, track, baseball, basketball, stuff like that. So that always was kind of like my shield, or kind of like my bulletproof vest from all the negative things that you can run into when you're young and basically immature and ignorant, for lack of a better word.
Right. Well, good for you. And anybody that wants to go and check it out, you can go to sroute26.com and check it out. Route to Success. Give them a hand. Help them out where you can. The communities that's applicable, obviously. Any help is always warranted and always helpful. So let's just jump right in and get some questions. Some of your friends and fans wanted to ask, why do they call you Earl in the locker room?
Oh, wow. First off, you got to tell me where and who you heard that from.
I got connections. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Wow, that takes it way back. It all started my rookie year, matter of fact, and I can't exactly give the entire story.
Okay.
But I'll just go ahead and allude to the fact of how a lot of my teammates feel that I kind of act like an old man, or I have like an old soul, so they call me Earl because that's the name of typically like an old man, just kind of sitting on the porch in a rocking chair. So they feel that I kind of have like a lot a lot of ways of a lot of thoughts of like an old man, not somebody in their young to mid 20s at the time, back at the time. Right. So yeah, that's how the name came about.
Well, that's just called wisdom beyond your years. That's all. I mean, it's wisdom beyond your years. Good for you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, now that I got you, let's go ahead and talk a little football. Obviously, you've been probably asked this question. Actually, I know you've been asked this question quite a bit. Raiders fans all want to know. You just recently got a new contract, 3-year deal. You got it in before all the lockout mess, which I know makes you feel good and happy and all that. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some pending free agents in your secondary. You got Nnamdi Asomugha, obviously, Michael Huff, perhaps. I mean, starting next year, potentially, you could be looking at a whole bunch of different faces in the huddle. What do you think? I mean, tell me how you're approaching it. I mean, I know there's a lot of things out of your control, and you have to be ready to just be that guy if your name is called. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? How do you see it playing out?
Oh, man, I think probably, to be honest with you, my guess is just about as good as anybody else. Just have to sit back and wait and see. Obviously, I want Nnamdi back. Obviously, I want Huff back. I would tell both of them the same thing if they were sitting right here, as I've already told Huff. But I think it's just the nature of the business. You know what I mean? I think the most telling thing is what Tom Cable told us in one of our team meetings going into the week against Kansas City to end the season. How he told us that the same 11 faces that take the field for the offense and the same 11 faces that take the field for the defense in the Kansas City game won't necessarily be the same 11 that open up the 2011 season on offense and defense. So I think it's just the nature of the business. You know what I mean? Not everybody's always going to be on the same team for a long time, or should I say forever. And so, obviously I want them to come back, but I know it's also a business, and, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Now, obviously, this has a major impact on you, as Nnamdi is one of the best corners in the business, hands down. But you are playing at a high level yourself. You had a great year last year. I think all your numbers and stats support that. So now that you know that you may be looking at a different scenario, you may be the number one corner if things work out. If they don't, we don't know. But let's just, guesstimate and say that you are covering the number one receiver every week. How are you going to approach your job differently, if at all, approaching guys that may be a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit stronger? I mean, typically the number ones like Andre Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald types have a little bit of, size and stuff. So is there a way you'll approach the game differently if you are the number one?
To be honest with you, I really won't have any different way of approaching it, because to be honest with you, it's kind of weird, how a lot of people have kind of come to get that conclusion or just that impression. But there were a lot of times where I covered the number one receiver last year. There were times I was always like manned up in the slot against a team, with a good slot receiver. So it's really not going to be that big of a difference, in my opinion. Obviously everybody else, can think what they want to think, but I lined up on the number one last year. There were games where Nnamdi was hurt. There were times where, they obviously wanted to stay away from Aso and then just, try to, throw all the passes to my side. So as far as the whole number one, corner thing, I covered number one receivers last year. I had, I think, about 99, 100 passes thrown at me last year. So like, in a lot of ways, it's like I don't really see how the workload can get any heavier after last year, being thrown at 100 times and, all stuff like that.
Right. That's a good point. Obviously quarterbacks and offensive coordinators on the other side of the field, they're not going to target Nnamdi. They're probably going to look to attack in different areas, and obviously you guys have been going through that for years. It's nothing new to you.
Definitely.
Let's go back a year ago. You were tendered, obviously, as a restricted free agent, and the Raiders obviously showed you they wanted to keep you. They put the first and third round tender on you. Did that help you at all going into last year, thinking maybe a confidence booster perhaps? Like Oakland has obviously showed that they value, what I bring to the table, and it kind of let you just play, or did it have any effect at all?
It's actually what you just said. Right after you said about the confidence thing, you said, just let me just play. And really, to be honest with you, is weird as it may seem, like with, the way my career has gone thus far, that was really the only thing that was ever really holding me back, to be honest with you. People would always say this and that about me, on the internet, or, maybe like in the newspaper or something like that. But the main thing is that I never really actually had a chance to start and just be on the field. And I look at it that I'm a rhythm type of player. It's hard for me to just come in off the bench, one out every 3 or 4 snaps, come in, cover a slot receiver, and then just go back to the sideline. Like, I'm not really a person that can just, just rev up just like that. I need, a rhythm. And then once I get in my rhythm, I'm good. And last year was my first year starting all 16 games. My third year, back in 2007, I started 14 games. And so the weirdest thing is that both of those years, I wound up either leading the secondary in picks or being one of the leaders in picks, and the pass defense ranking, like as far as the NFL goes, us being either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere, in the upper echelon of the league. And so that's one thing that I've always noticed, kind of like very, it's very interesting how, people would, have their own image or their own impression of me, but I was never really on the field to actually show a true image or impression. But, fortunately, this past season, I was able to get back on the field, and I was able to show what I can do.
Now, I had the privilege of interviewing Michael Huff before, and have talked to him, obviously, about the Raiders and their organization. I want to ask you with one of the questions that I posed to him. Everyone talks about it at draft time. Al Davis obviously loves speed. You're a 4.3 guy. Guys like Fabian Washington, where he's a 4.2 guy. Nnamdi's fast. Huff is fast for a safety. Your receivers are fast. Your running backs are fast. He loves speed. It's obvious. Now, do you feel that as you get a little older and all you guys kind of grow into your roles, that speed is now just like Al Davis was onto something, that he was got young, fast guys, and as they mature into professionals, it's hard to beat speed. I mean, you can't teach it. So, I mean, what do you think about it? You guys talk about how fast you are as a team? I mean, you got a track team practically.
From time to time, we will kind of sit around and, try to go ahead and fantasize if we were on a track, who would be our, 4x100 meter relay team, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's definitely something that, we all kind of have in common, from like myself to Huff to Fabian back when he was with us to Jacoby Ford, Darren McFadden, Darius Hayward Bay, and I could just go on down the line, with Walter McFadden, Jeremy Ware, Mike Mitchell, Tyvon Branch, so, it's definitely, a fascinating thing that, all of us of guys that are, considered the fastest at the combine or pro day, all on the same team. And, Al, he loves speed, so it definitely is hard to beat because, you can just look at the way McFadden, ran through people and over people all this past season. And, Jacoby Ford on the kickoff returns and all that, you couldn't touch him. But I will have to say there's one slight thing I have to correct you on.
Okay.
You said that I was a 4.3 guy, and I was a 4.27 at the combine back in 05.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. That's a big difference. You need to throw that in there. I apologize. Are you still running in the 4.2?
I don't know if it's 4.2, but I'm definitely still 4.3.
Well,
definitely.
There you go. So I was right. Just kidding. Anyway, I really appreciate having you on. Let's talk a little bit real quick about the draft. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of players. I always ask them what do they think the direction their team's going to go. Typically, they always say the same thing. I have no idea. They don't talk to us about it. Do you follow it? Are you a fan of the Raiders? Do you sit and watch what they do? Do you read, maybe articles or blogs or whatever about directions or things that you think your team may go? Or do you just go about it as I have a job to do, I worry about myself, and that's it?
Yeah, for the most part, I just worry about me. You know what I mean? Because no matter whether we draft a corner, quarterback, running back, offensive lineman, defensive end, whatever you want to call it, just like what you just said earlier, you know what I mean? I got to go out there and cover receivers, starting Monday Night Football on, I think, September, whatever it is, against the Broncos. Brandon Lloyd's going to be out there. So is Jabbar Gaffney, so is Eddie Royal, the whole nine. So I really don't get into it all that much. Now, I actually will watch the draft, whenever it comes on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But as far as, reading the blogs, listening to what all the expert analysts say, I really don't worry about all that because I know that no matter what, basically, to be honest with you, I'm just a soldier in this army. That's it. And I know at the end of the day, the front office, they're going to choose whoever they feel that the team needs best. And they're going to choose whoever they're going to choose. So as far as me, getting into it, want to give my opinion, worrying about this and that, I just play football.
Yeah, that's the standard answer, and it's true. It's a competition any way you look at it. Every year you're going into camp, and those guys are on your team, but they're trying to take your job, and then you mold and go forward. But anyway, thank you so much, Stanford, for coming by and spending some time with us today at skinnypost.com. I really appreciate your insight. Congratulations on your new contract. Wish you the best of luck going forward, obviously, and thanks for coming. We appreciate having you.
No problem, man. Appreciate you.
Had a lot of fun. I'm Steve O'Reilly. That's Stanford Routt, and this is skinnypost.com giving you the skinny 24/7.